All right, we'll give it like another 30 seconds and then we'll get started. And if you guys could keep your video on, that'd be great. And I highly recommend having a pad and pen or pencil, however you take notes, because we'll be going through a lot pretty quick. And if you have any questions, I'm good with asking questions as we move along. So feel free to answer any questions, whether it's related to this topic or any other topic. More than happy to answer.
We got two rock stars, Earl and Sneha from PC, showing up here.
I love it.
don't know if they know how valuable the MREA with you is, but for those of you that don't know, Chris actually gets paid like dough to teach this to the region. So you guys get this exclusive. So definitely feel free to ask anything. Don't be afraid to ask a question by all means.
Well, thank you very much for that, Dana. You're too nice. So it's nice to meet you guys. And if you guys are good, we're gonna rock and roll here. So have you guys read the MREA?
No, I've not.
No? Okay. So first thing that you guys are going to do after we're done with this is, do you have the MREA book?
Yeah.
Yes. Sneha, do you have the MREA book?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And I'm ashamed to say that. I know that I should have been reading.
The good news is that you're going to get a copy, and then you are going to start to read it, because it will all start to make sense to you once you've read it. You actually have to read it a couple times. I had to read it at least 3 times to even really truly understand it. So as I'm going through this, it may sound like a foreign language, them speaking some of it, but once you read the book, it'll make more sense to you. All right. So that's first. So as soon as we're done here, I know, Earl, you have the book, so you can start reading it today. Get a highlighter, highlight. It's not an easy book to really understand at first glance. So you actually have to like go over it and over it. I've read it more than 5 times. I have it highlighted. And I refer back to it a lot. I call it like the Holy Grail, because it really is that good. So what we're going to be talking about is the MREA 4 models, right? And what are the 4 models? We start with the economic model, which is what we're going to be discussing today. The second model that we'll be talking about, again, not today, but another time, is the lead generation model, which would be very important to you guys, right? The third model is the budget model. And the fourth model, the last model, well, actually there's 5 in the MREA 2. The fourth one, right, is the organizational model, and then expansion is actually the 5th model. So those are the 5, but in this course that we're going to be talking about is really, we're going to talk about 4 models. So what is the economic model, right? So imagine this. You guys are starting a business, could be any business. Let's just use a restaurant, because I used to be in hospitality. And you're going to start a brand new restaurant. Do you think that you would just pick out a location and start a business with not knowing how much money you're actually going to need? Right? So you get your real estate license. That sounds great and relatively very cheap to get your real estate license and to start a real estate business. Would you guys all agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? So if you start a restaurant, obviously it's a lot more money. So you have to have capital, right? Whether you're buying or leasing the building that you're in or the space that you're in, whether you're buying the business or starting from scratch, training, product, carrying costs, all that stuff, right? So yeah, that's why the economic model is so important, is that, and why I teach it first is because you actually have to know, you have to understand the numbers, right? Before you're actually getting into lead generation, before you start your business. So it's kind of a blueprint for what you're going to need moving forward. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Cool. So the good news is that the model's are already set for you. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? It's already been done for you. And whether you're struggling to, to build a real estate career, focused on taking, a team to the next level. If you're a real estate agent who wants to start a team, I think the first step is to understand the economic model, which in the MREA is pages 129 to 132, right? So the economic model is a formula that shows you how your investments and performance in key areas of your business work together to produce net income. Let me go through that again, right? The economic model is a formula that shows how your investments and performance, both investments and performance in key areas of business work together to produce net income. And we'll get into net income in a little bit. So unlike other models, right, it makes a clear connection between your desired net income goal and the basic activities that will lead to that number. Does everyone understand the difference between gross and net?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So when someone says I gross this, that's not really what they netted, right?
Correct.
You got to take out taxes, whatever your expenses are, right? And that gives you your net number. So, so starting with a big goal, right? So before diving headfirst into the model, right, you must know exactly what you want to achieve in your business and your personal life. So this is the reason that you want to achieve, we call a life by design. So, and I'm not sure if Dana went through like what a 4-in-1 is or what a GPS is, and we can save that discussion for another time, but it's very important to write down your goals. So if you want to net $100,000 in your real estate business, that means you're going to have to gross a lot more, right? And when we get through with this, you'll know exactly percentage-wise what you have to gross in order to net your desired number. So when you know what you want to accomplish, we work backward until you arrive at what you need to accomplish in 1 year to reach that big goal. So from there, we calculate the cost associated to reveal your annual net income goal. Because at the end of the day, it's all about net. It's not about gross. So, and I'll give you some advice. Don't think small, think big, because even if you think big and you don't reach your goal, it'll still be bigger than if you had just had a small goal. And I'm okay with that. So thinking big helps you to build up the momentum needed to surpass small goals on the way to achieving bigger success. So otherwise, you'll slow down when a smaller goal is within reach, right? It's like taking that foot off the pedal. You know, a lot of people in the country, that Friday comes along and everyone takes their foot off the pedal. It's like, oh, the weekend's here, time to party, or whatever the reason is, right? But yet Friday's another working day for most people. So why would you slow down, take a half day on Friday, right? Why not work until, if we're talking like if you're working 9 to 5, why don't you just work all in till 5 o'clock, right? And go into the weekend knowing that you crushed the week, and that when you start Monday, that you feel really good. It's the same thing with your real estate business. Obviously, as real estate salespeople, we work on the weekends. I mean, open houses, showings, right? So Friday could be a day that you just lead generate in the morning and then, do showings in the afternoon. So it's really important to comprehend that, because I see some real estate salespeople that they get a big deal and they get like a $15,000 commission, and it's like, oh yeah, time to party. Like I'm not going to work for like 2 weeks. I'm going to go on vacation, but then their funnel is empty. And then 90 days from now, it's like, we don't have any closings. So I don't want to get in the weeds on that, but we will be talking about that for sure. And Dana will tell you, I'm very big on this. Share your goals with accountability partners. It's really, really important that you have someone to hold you accountable and you hold someone else accountable. It's really a great way to make sure that you guys accomplish your goals. And it could be a friend, partner, wife, husband, son, daughter, whoever. Just have someone to hold you accountable, especially being new agents. I mean, it's really, really, really important. Next is know the numbers you must hit, right? Familiarize yourself with the basic formula of the economic model, which is what we're talking about. Fill it out. And then with how your business is currently performing. So if you've already started your real estate business and maybe you've done one deal or two deals, or even if you've done none, you can always start from where you're at. So don't feel like, well, you know what? I did a couple deals and where am I going to start? You just start from wherever you are. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug in conversion rates for seller and buyer listings, appointments, and seller buyer listings taken, right? So if you're new to real estate, which most of all of you are, and don't have actual conversion rates yet, we'll review the conversion rates a little bit later on. And you do the conversion rates because it tracks your performance. You want to see how you're converting appointments, right? And then how you're converting the actual, when you actually during the deal, right? That you actually get it to closing, right? Which is after closing is what you get paid. So, and I'll show you guys a sheet that you guys would be using, and Dana has it. I'm not sure if she shared it with you, where you'll be able to fill in numbers and be able to figure out, how many appointments you need to go on, right? How many closings you need, sell side versus buy side, to be able to net the income that you want to net, right? So it's that blueprint that I was talking about. So next is doing the activities. This is where people get in the weeds, focusing on appointments and conversion rates. So what are models? Models represent a plan that was prepared in advance and when properly systematized should translate into a consistent set of actions you take every month, week, or day. And you got to start with every day to every week to every month, right? So, and that's what that 4-in-1 is. Does everyone know what a 4-in-1 is?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
He's great. Nia, do you know what a 4-in-1 is? Sinead? Earl?
Yes, I do.
You guys are good with 4-in-1? Have you guys filled out a 4-in-1?
Every week or every
I like
month.
it. I like it. I like what I'm hearing here. Dana's doing a good job. No surprise. So once you plug in your numbers, the economic model, right, makes it very clear. Without appointments, you will not make any money, period. Without leads, you have nothing. And without qualified leads, you will not get any appointments. So for this reason, right, lead generation is the single most important activity that you guys can do. Because if you don't have a funnel of leads, you're just not going to make it in this business. And that's all in any sales business, not just real estate. So I always say that leads are the fuel to your economic engine. And it's, you can never lose sight of that. So you never have too many leads. So with a pipeline full of leads, your next focus is to turn them into appointments, right? Then convert those appointments into buyer, seller listings. And then finally, successfully serve your clients and help them close the deal, which is when you get paid. So your gross revenue, which is called your GCI, right? Gross commission income, is driven entirely by the chain reaction of productivity. It doesn't matter how many leads you have if they never result in appointments. So that's why I use the word qualified leads, because if you can have 1 million leads, but if you don't get appointments out of them, what's the sense? So, and then it doesn't matter how many appointments you have if you can't convert them into listings. So, and it doesn't matter how many listings you take if they never result in a closed transaction. So in other words, you get a listing contract, but you're not able to get that deal across the finish line and get it closed, right? To get a buyer for it. So what's the trick? Well, more often than not, success of each appointment is determined before you even set foot in the door. And what do I mean by that? Most people only interview 1 or 2 agents before choosing one to go with. That's a fact. And that means if you work on setting appointments with leads who are serious about buying or selling, you'll put yourself in a great position to secure a client. And I'll give you another example. And this is when I first started in real estate. I took this couple, I'll never forget, and they took me on a wild goose chase. I think I showed them at least 42 homes. And I didn't have a buyer's agency agreement signed. And they ended up going with, one day I called them up and they're like, oh, we found another agent. And I wasted like months with these people. And it was a really good lesson for me to learn, because not only moving forward did I qualify the people I was with, I really got my clients down to exactly what they were looking for. And I only showed them what they were looking for. And it saved me a bunch of time. And obviously I got a buyer's agency agreement signed. So fun fact. So don't do that. And successful appointments begin with setting appointments with clients who are ready and motivated to make a buying or selling decision, which I just talked about. So again, you don't want to take a buyer on unless they're pre-qualified, right? Unless they have a mortgage. Because then how do you know what they can afford? So if a lead has dropped a hint that they might be willing to test the market, start with a brief conversation with them to better understand what's driving their decision-making, right? Here's some questions that, you can ask. What sort of urgency do they have? How prepared are they to make a move? If their motivation is strong, then setting an appointment with them should be top priority, right? It's just removing the objections. So, and then pre-qualifying leads for appointments is also a great time to dig up like relevant information you can use for your consultation, right? Use that time to identify different ways your business's unique value proposition, right? Your unique value proposition. What's your value proposition that differentiates yourself from the rest of the agents that are out there? And service plan that can help them reach their goals. So, mastering like those presentations will definitely help, your conversion rates for sure, 100%. So when it comes to presentations, you don't have to recreate the wheel, right? There are tons and tons of listing and buyer console in the KW designs. I urge you to go through them if you haven't already, and then make it your own. It's like taking a script. You don't want to read the script verbatim, right? Because you'll sound scripted. You want to make it your own. So, and a lot of these listing presentations and buyer consults have been put in from agents that do real estate at a really high level. So a lot of them are tried and true. Really, they're really, really good. So just go through them, kind of pick out what you like. You can combine them. But there's a lot of good stuff in KW and KW designs. Track every presentation and its outcome to develop conversion rates to plug into the economic model every year. And you can do the same for people, like if you have a team. I know for me, we do that on our team to track their conversion rates and when they get leads. So that, each of these activities are built on one another. You can quickly understand the pain points and seek like training to improve in that area. So if you feel like you're not proficient in script practicing or when you're on the phone, then hey, let's get with someone who's really good with scripts, right? And then you guys, can script practice together. It's better to practice on someone than to lose a deal live with a client or potential client. So you guys realize, right? If it's not a client, it's a what? It's a customer, right? So as you understand these models more, it'll put you more in control, if that makes sense to you guys. So questions so far?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Marquise, have you read the MREA?
I've read almost maybe 80% of it.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you truly understand the 4 models, how would you rate understanding the economic model?
Did you say on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
I would say about a 5. But I will say that like now I feel psyched to go back and start all over again. Obviously, the MREA, it's referenced. It doesn't matter what you're doing within this organization. It gets referenced a gazillion times, right? And
Sure.
every single time, and this afternoon is no exception. Again, I feel inspired, like, oh, that's right. Like this really is good. I'm one of those people, sometimes like everybody loves that book, The Four Agreements. I had to read it like 5 times before I really got a real sincere aha moment. And I feel like the more I am kind of ingratiated or saturated by the MREA, like I said, like I can't wait. Like I got to dust it off and, just do it again.
I love that. If that's your mentality moving forward, you're going to do really well. I love it. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So here is an example of the updated economic model, right? There's MREA 2 that's coming out, and MREA 1, which is probably my God, looking at like 20 some years ago that it came out. So the numbers are updated now. So this is the most updated version. And I know Dana has a copy of this. In this case, right, it's $1 million in net income. Your first year in real estate, I'm going to probably tell you you're not going to make $1 million in net income. I hope you do. But you can put in whatever number you want, right? And there's worksheets for this, and you can plug and play. So in this example, I want you guys to understand each line item, right? $1 million in net income, $750,000 in operating expenses, $750,000 in cost of sales, right? And then if you add those together, that's your total GCI, right? That's your gross number. So you have to do 2.5 million in gross GCI to net $1 million. Make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. And then when we look at the average commission amount, this is something you'll have to track. In this case, $7,150 is the average commission. If you do your average sale is 500,000, then it's going to be higher than that. If your average sale is 250,000, then that's around what it's going to be, right? So if you do that, you have to do 350 units sold, right, in order to gross 2.5 million in GCI. And then when we take the total units sold, we break them up into sell side and buy side. And in this case, it's 50-50. Now you may ask, is it better to be heavier on the listing side than the buy side? I'm always going to tell you yes. I much rather work with sellers than buyers, because you guys know why?
No, but I'm so glad that you said that. To me, that's like the big mystery.
Well, it's not going to be a mystery anymore. So do you think that you spend more time with buyers or with sellers?
Definitely with buyers.
Right? Because you're going out showing them homes, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more legwork, a lot more time that you have to invest. Initially you get the listing, you set it up, right? And the buyers come to you, right? So unless you're doing both sides, where you're working with buyers, you may show them your listing, and that's a great thing. But for the most part, listings are much better just because you get a lot of time back. Not only that, you can leverage the listings by doing open houses. And what do we get out of open houses?
Leads.
And lead, what kind of leads?
Buyer leads.
Bingo, right? So out of getting listings, we get buyers. And then we can do circle prospecting, right? We can door knock the neighborhood, right? We can leverage that listing to bring on multiple leads. And that is why having a listing is so much more beneficial than having buyers. You're always going to have buyers. Nothing wrong with that. And a good blend in my eyes is a 60% sell side and 40% buy side. And for most agents that start out, typically they're going to be heavy on the buy side, right? Just because they don't have a lot of experience going into listing appointments, and sometimes the sellers will be like, how much experience do you have? And There's other agents that have a lot more experience. I'm not going to hold you back from doing listing appointments. Matter of fact, I implore you to go on listing appointments. I'm just saying that typically that you'll end up with more buyers than sellers in the beginning. That's just the way it goes. Make sense so far?
Yes.
Good. So 50-50, right? So we split the 350 into 175, 175. Then this is the conversion rates we're talking about, right? So if you're on a 70% sold conversion rate, right, that will net you 250 seller leads and 250 buyer leads. Then if you have a 75% conversion rate on the appointments, meaning when you go on the appointment, and then 70% on the buy. Now, why do you think it's 75 on sell side and 78 on the buy side? Any guesses? No? Well, on the buy side, right, you're going against a lot of agents, right? They're looking for buyers. On the sell side, typically the seller's going to go with what? The first or second agent that they meet. So there's going to be a little bit, you have less competition, so to speak, right? Which is why the conversion rate is a little higher. Make sense? And that gives you the total seller appointments you need, 333, total buyer appointments that you need, 357, right? And typically this model right here, it's a team, right? It's a rainmaker, team leader with agents on their team. Doesn't have to be, but typically this will be a team. And then we go here, here's the worksheet, right? So, and this gives you all the percentages, right? We're looking for 30, 30, 40. And what does that mean? That means out of your business, you want to net 40% from your total GCI. And if your expenses are less than 30%, good for you. If your cost of sales are less than 30, good for you, right? But this is on average, right? And then if you take your gross income, right, and then you deduct cost of sales and expenses, that'll give you your 40% net income. You guys follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then here we go with seller listings, right? So, and all you gotta do is follow the sheet: percent of sellers, gross income sellers, average commission rate, sold volume, right? And you just follow the formula. And then you can refer to this, right? Just refer right back to that. And then buyer listing, same thing. And then you go down here and you put your net in, right? Which is what, 40%. And then you take your cost of sale, which is 30%, and your expenses. And then there's a cheat sheet for you. So 1 million net income, there's your 30% expenses, 30% cost of sales. There's your gross income, right? Which is 2.5, which we discussed earlier. There's the 50%, 50%. You guys can follow all that. It's pretty easy, but to look at, but you have to actually do the exercise, and then you got to track it, which a lot of people don't. All right. Questions on anything? That is the economic model Cliff Note version. If we were live in person, I would have you take out your worksheets, have them fill it out. So which I would like you to do is get that sheet from Dana, blank, put in what you want for your gross commission income, use the formula 30, 30, 40, right? And then this way you guys know exactly how many appointments you have to go on, how many you have to close, right, to get your gross GCI. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys are so quiet. Like, let me do all the talking. Any questions on anything else, like the brokerage, real estate in general, anything you want to ask me? Ask me anything you want.
So I do, Chris, and I'm sorry. I feel like I feel like I keep talking, so forgive me.
I'm glad someone's talking. I love it. Yeah.
I feel like this is so big, and obviously Dana does an incredible job, right?
Yep.
But I feel like you mentioned like the Cliff Notes version. I would love to learn more about this and just go deeper. So with respect to the economic model, what other resources, because like I said, some of us, it's just going to take some of us a little bit longer to really understand the more salient details. So where, if you wanted to dig in more specifically about this, where can we go?
So great question. Go to KW, your KW command. Right? And then if you go to KW Connect, and then in KW Connect, go into the search window and put in economic model.
Okay.
There'll be videos, spreadsheets, all types of good stuff. I would urge you to kind of go through it. There'll be some on there that maybe you're like, and there'll be some that are really, really good. And there's ratings on it. So the ones that have really good ratings on, obviously I would click on those. There's tons and tons and tons of videos and stuff in there, not just on the economic, but the 4 models. So when I teach the next model, which would be lead generation, and it'll probably be a longer class, we'll definitely deep dive into that. And the same thing on KW Connect is you'll find out videos and everything on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'll put in the chat box my email, and you guys can always reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. More than happy to help. And remember, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you got to get 1% better every day, and be around people that are doing this at a high level. So some really good advice I can give you guys is go trail some people. If there's people who are doing we have tons of open houses on our private KW Facebook page. If someone has an open house that they're doing, say, hey, listen, can I shadow you? They're more than happy to do it. If you want to get with some of our top agents and you want an introduction, you guys have the roster. People are more than willing to help, and go buy someone coffee and say, hey, listen, can I bend your ear for like a half hour? I kind of want to know, when you started real estate, what did you do that didn't work? And what did you do that did work? Like share best practices. So if you guys want to get from like point A to point B a lot faster, there's already a proven model, the way to do it. And so don't try to reinvent the wheel. We're always about the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. And just think about that when you wake up in the morning. All right, who are the 5 people right now that I can surround myself with that are going to help influence my life and get me to where I need to be? And that's what I think about every day, because for me, like building a legacy for my family is the most important thing to me. And I can't do that unless I have people around me, that think bigger than me or doing things that I want to do. And that's kind of the secret sauce. So for you guys as new agents, just be around people, that have done it already, and are doing it at a high level. People like, She Moves Philly. Reach out to Britt and Brittany, and hey, listen, can I buy you coffee or buy you breakfast or lunch or something? You know what I mean? There's Dana, obviously Freeman and Deidre Quinn and my partner Goroff with the condo shop. And like, you guys have tons of resources. You just have to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. And that would be my advice to you. I have a lot more, but I don't want to overload you. Any other questions? No?
No.
Okay. So I'll get with Dana, make sure you guys get these worksheets. And then we're going to be doing the lead generation model next. And I'll talk to Dana about that. We'll get that set up. I don't want to wait too long. I'd like to get these 4 models done in the next month. So look out for that. And we have our team meeting, sales meeting on Tuesday. So really important that you guys, it's virtual this time. So real important that you guys are engaged and show up for the team meetings as well. Sound good?
Chris, I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Because we know that there will be, this is a series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something like, if you had like three bullet points that we should, activities that specific that we should be doing between now and the next module that you'll share with us, like what would they be? Like boom, boom, boom.
Great question. Number one would be know where you're going. So that's the part of the economic sheet, right? So know exactly what you want to net. We're in the third month of 2022. So for the next 9 months, if you don't know, then if it's 100,000 that you want to gross, then you have 9 months to do it. And then you put together a plan so you can gross that $100,000, right? Whatever the number is, could be 50. I don't care what it is, but that's the first thing. Like you have to know how much, you have to have a goal. And that's what the economic model does for you. It gets you to that goal of what you want to do and how you're going to do it. Number two is you got to lead generate. So start your database. And we make it really easy with the CRM that we have in Command. And the first thing that I did, and the best advice I ever got from my brokers, I used to be with Remax prior to KW, was he's like, get in your phone and go from A to Z and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And then starting from the top, people that you, like friends and family, people that you know and love, they're first. Like they're the hot, warm leads. Then B are people that you are acquaintances or you got referrals from someone. And then third would be the people that you don't know. And I color coded them, right? I'd put green for the ones that were like my A leads, yellow for my B leads, and red for my C leads. And then I would take that and then I would systematize it and put it into a CRM. So you got to build your database, right? That would be next, right? And then the third thing that I would do is obviously start making calls and setting appointments. Worst case scenario is that you set a bunch of appointments and that you have people like Dana and some other people. If you can't do it, you're not going to do it by yourself. We'll go on the appointments with you. The goal is to make you guys look like rock stars and that you guys learn. So that's a good problem to have. Those would be the three things that I would focus on. Everything else you can learn. Like real estate, you're going to learn how to do buyer consults and listing presentations and learn Bright. And like, you're going to learn all that stuff. But the things that you can do right now, those are the things that you can do right now. Sound good?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
You got it. All right. If you don't have anything else for me, you guys have an awesome day. And you got my email. So reach out if you have any other questions that pop up after this. And then Dana will fill you in on the next module, which will be lead generation. But you have MREA, read it. You don't have MREA, get a copy from Dana and read it. Okay?
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.